Let us hope that Mr. Potter will always be around to save the day.
Welcome to the Drag Malfoy podcast, made by the fans for the fans,
where we talk about fan films, fictions, and theories.
My name is Ivy.
And my name is Baron LeVay, and we are the Drag Malfoys.
To episode 6 of the Drag Malfoy podcast, and we have a very, very, very special guest with us this week. I mean, if you've listened to the one before, then you'll know who it is. But if you don't, then you will do in a minute. It is Hulda, aka Hobbit's Tale from TikTok. Are you in England or Norway right now?
Norway.
Oh.
I'm close to Oslo, is where I am. And right now, technically, I'm in the basement.
Oh.
So that's where I can be left alone.
Amazing.
My poor filming space is behind me over there.
Oh.
Because I'm living with my parents right now, so, don't have a lot of space of freedom.
Well, fingers crossed we won't hear my dog shouting at any point, but that's a possibility.
She's
That's
wild.
fine, but, I mean, if someone comes at the door, my dog will be barking as well, so we'll have to require.
That's all fine. But thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
We've been very excited since we asked you about you coming on, which has been great.
Oh,
We wouldn't
likewise.
want. I think you can get quite some nice insights on Lily Evans and the Marauders that aren't just about Lily and James's relationship, because that's what people concentrate on.
Yes. So again, we said before, this episode is about Lily Evans and the Marauders. The fan film that we watched is called Mischief Managed, and the fan fiction is called...
I didn't take the name of it. It's called Resurgence. It's called Resurgence. We will link it in the bio.
Yeah.
It was... I mean, we'll get onto that.
And then I didn't get to, I'm going to be super naughty and say, because I've had a job shift for like 5 days this week, so I haven't been able to read it. But I did watch the film. But there's any dish, any goss, I can always join in.
Of course, that's what we like as well. Like, we'll talk about it, and then with little intros and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, to be fair, when we did the episode with Christy, she sent us fan fiction that was like 80 chapters long. So I did not get that finished in time for the podcast, so I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay. Thank God.
I didn't finish it either, but she sent us it a week before the podcast, and she's like, "This one's really good," and it was 83 chapters long and over 600 odd K words, and I was like,
And she said, "I've been reading this since 2015," and I was like, "Great."
but it
We
was
don't have 5 years.
yeah.
We're good.
So the film we watched is called Mischief Managed, and I think it wasn't from the same people, but I think it was the same film company as Severus Snape and the Marauders,
Possibly.
because the same like little titles.
Yeah,
In the
I did
beginning?
notice that, yeah.
Yeah, but the film starts off in the woods, and we see the four Marauders on a morning, seemingly after the full moon, I guess, because I think at some point it's like, until next month, and you're like, how is Remus so, like, chipper? He's like, I've just been a werewolf all night, and I'm fine. Don't know what he's about. But like, we also see Peter, who's this really, really sweet being that must be protected.
Yes, Peter is wonderful in the film.
He's so cute. But he does seem to get picked on a little bit by the Marauders, but they do look out for him sometimes, because you see him going the wrong way at some point, even though he's been at Hogwarts for God knows how many years. And
Hey, I do that all the time. I saw that scene of like James, he like going, and then James is taking his head and just like guiding him to the other way. I'm like, That is me. I'm also very short, so that was literally what people do with me. They just grab my head, like my neck, and just like guide me to the other direction.
Like, no, this way, go on, in you go. The set is stunning.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Was beautiful.
I was gagged. Like I think I was gonna search it up where they filmed it at the end, but it did come up on the credits that they'd filmed it in Oxford and all the botanical gardens, and I was like,
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Goals.
It is.
Yeah.
We see Lily and her friend, and we hear about different members of the Order. So, like, we hear about Alice and Frank. Alice asked Frank to the Valentine's ball. It was very
Sick.
I love that.
It was really cute. So we do figure out that it's Valentine's Day in 1978, and there is that little tension between Lily and James. They have, like, the teacher's like, what? I forgot what the teacher said, but she said something, and then they look at each other, and there's like this close-up frame of like them two looking at each other, and they're like.
I was too busy looking at the moving portraits on the walls to look at their faces.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was a really nice touch.
It's a really good touch. I don't know how much of a budget they had, but they managed to get some form of green screen.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But I was thinking as well, like, who are the people in the portraits? Is that the script editor? Is that the guy behind the camera kind of situation? So I really want to know, like, who in, like, maybe behind the scenes, or maybe a parent or someone in the cast was, like, in the portrait. Yeah. I started thinking about that.
Oh, yeah, because they do stuff like that, don't they, sometimes?
Easter eggs, yeah.
Little Easter eggs here and there. So Peter seems really childlike at this point, and...
I mean, they're all children.
They are all children, yeah. But I did love that they had, like, different students in the background. Mm-hmm. So they had, like, of different religions and stuff in the background as well.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I did notice there was a Muslim in the background, and I was like, yeah, lovely.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So we'll stand a bit of diversity.
Of course we do.
Yeah.
We do.
And then we find out that Peter has a date for the Valentine's.
Oh my gosh.
It's like none of the Marauders have one, but Peter does.
Yeah.
And it's such a cute little one. It is a 5th year Hufflepuff. We're not too sure what year they're in. I think it's 7th year.
I think it was 7. It felt like there's like 7th year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if it's, well, we can do the quick maths. If it's 78 and they died in 82, 81, yeah, they were 21 when they died.
They were head boy and head girl at this point, so yeah, that would be 7th year, wouldn't it?
Yes, yeah, would be, yeah. And I have one big note, and I was like, where is Marlene and Dorcas?
Snogging in the corner somewhere.
Yeah, just off there, because like Lily's friend was a Ravenclaw, and I have no doubt that Lily would be friends with other people within school, but I was just like, where's Marlene and Dorcas?
Where are the canon characters?
Yeah.
Her girl at this point, so yeah, that would be 7th year, wouldn't it?
Yes, yeah, would be, yeah. And I have one big note, and I was like, where is Marlene and Dorcas?
Snogging in the corner somewhere.
Yeah, just off there, because like Lily's friend was a Ravenclaw, and I have no doubt that Lily would be friends with other people within school, but I was just like, where's Marlene and Dorcas?
Where are the canon characters?
Yeah. They've been so they get the morning paper, and there have been reports of Muggle-born killings. Lily is worried, and especially when her Ravenclaw friend is on about Regulus asking her out. Is it Regulus?
I think so, yeah.
I think it was Regulus asking her out. She was like, can you believe it? It happened again. And Lily's like...
Oh no, Caleb, I think. Caleb Slytherin boy.
Yes, there we go. Regulus, wherever that came from. The fan fiction.
Yeah.
There you go.
We'll get on to that.
And so Lily's like, is that all you're worried about? Like, look at what's going on. But then that kind of all lasts for all of 2 seconds. when they get onto the topic of James.
Yeah.
And Lily says that she will ask him out to the ball that day. I can't read my own writing. Okay, so I think at this point we realise that Severus and Lily have fallen out at this point. Away. But
see him creeping in the background.
We do see him creeping in the background because our friend's like
what he does best.
Yeah.
Just sitting there looking solemn. And her Ravenclaw friend is like, "Are you going to talk to Severus?" And she goes, "Yes, I'll do it today." So I think at this point we do realise that he's called her a mudblood already.
Yeah.
And they have just separated.
I mean, that happens in their fifth year, doesn't it?
Yes.
Canon-wise. So if they were, figured if they were in 7th year, that'll be 2 years of not speaking to each other. That's a long time to not speak to each other and then suddenly be like, maybe I should speak to Severus about like waiting James. Be like, that ship has kind of sailed.
Anymore, like
at this point, what's it got to do with it? Nothing. And then we've got Peter. Peter's just being an absolute angel. What should I get a haircut? What should I wear? Can I borrow some robes?
They're so mean. Like shave it all off. I'm like, guys, she was asking for some tips.
And then I think Peter in this is like the physical embodiment of that emoji with the big glossy eyes.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's like the I feel like that's Peter in this film. Just
I was touching my fingertips there, just for
the little
for the audio.
Yeah.
And again, the Marauders are being really mean, and it's not very nice. He's just a little thing. He's got his first little crush. So Lily and Remus go to the library to study, and we still see a nice friendship there without either of the two friendship groups that they have. So clearly they've got some form of connection, which is really nice to see.
Yeah, and I think in relation to the Severus Snape episode, actually, I think Remus and Lily, in the same way that Remus and Snape could have had a friendship, because neither of them are pure-blooded.
Yes, because we did ask that question previously as to...
Yeah, technically, if Remus is a werewolf, he's no longer pure-blooded.
Mm-hmm. And although I think the other 3 Marauders are all pure-blood.
Yeah.
So, I do enjoy that. And Remus offering chocolate as well as...
Yes.
Oh, that little detail was so lovely. He doesn't even say chocolate, he just like, do you...
And it's just them cute little moments that refer back to what is canon. Is absolutely adorable. So James has put Remus up to the task of talking to Lily for him. Much to Sirius's disarray. Sirius does not like this happening at all.
Maybe it's like the love is kind of pathetic, and he's like enjoying seeing James fail, that seeing him actually win is like, nah, fuck that. That's not happening.
Yeah, he's not a huge fan of that. It's like stereotypical
man problems.
Yeah. Like, you will not ruin my best friend. They talk about Lily's feelings and how James feels, and Lily says that she does like him, and she was going to go ask him to the ball, which is lovely. And then obviously Remus goes and tells James this, and James gets all excited and it's like, where do I find her? You've got a map, hun. But they do. We switch to the Gryffindor common room, and the dance is a few hours away. Peter's wondering what to wear still, and still asking for advice.
Like,
do this. But then they have it they throw the invisibility cloak over him, bless him.
Yeah. Oh.
can't.
Again, great effects. Like, that was done really well.
Oh yeah, that was really good.
I want to know how probably like a green
I would
thing.
imagine.
Yeah, of course. So I've written here, Sirius is kind of acting like that type of guy who is overly cocky but has nothing to show for it. Because he's just like, oh, come on, James. And like, I just knew too many guys like that in school growing up.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I don't like you in this.
They really definitely gave me the In-Betweeners vibes, that group of boys.
Exactly that. I hadn't even thought of that, but yes.
Oh my god, so James is Simon, pining over Carly.
Yeah. I think Sirius is, oh god, what's his name? The one? Jay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I would say Peter's Neil.
Yeah.
The one who you wouldn't expect to get a girl, but seems to.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, they find Lily on the map, and James goes after her to ask her to the dance. But as he's going to talk to her, she's heading towards Snape to talk to him, because apparently that's what you do after you haven't spoken to someone for 2 years. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna go tell him about James.
Because that will fix things.
Yeah,
Totally.
Just talk to Snape about his childhood bullies. You know, that's fine. But so James interrupts her on her path to him, and he gets down on one knee, and
the whole thing is ridiculous.
It's such a James Potter thing to do, though, isn't it? To be like overly.
Look at my ego. Yes.
Yeah.
But she denies him because it's totally the wrong moment, and she looks back when she's denied him, and Seb's gone. But they bump into each other on the little corridor, and they just look at each other for like
kind of creepy.
Seb's just towering over her, like just staring, and she's just like, do I say something? But before he just runs off.
Of course.
I kind of really like that he didn't say anything though.
Yeah.
I actually really like. I know it's so like cliche of like them looking at each other and the whole. He's super disappointed. She's trying to say something and he turns away. But like, I'm a sucker for those kind of cliches.
And if an actor can like really emote without saying a word, it's the best kind of actor.
Yeah, and I think the guy who was playing Severus, he didn't have one line, but I was like, this is good. I like it.
Yes, absolutely.
I feel like the fan films that were watched where they've got a Snape in it, like the Snape ones are the best characters.
Yeah.
Like the actors are always really, really good for Snape.
Severus Snape and the Marauders was top notch.
Oh, it was fantastic. It was perfect. So after Lily has denied James and caused even more humiliation, because he did it in front of a group, like in front of a large crowd, Remus is now getting the blame for denying. Sirius has been a dick about it and not helping James with his little broken heart. James storms out and sits on a bench where Lily usually sits. I think this must have been a tactic. Because Lily comes over and she's like, well, that's my spot. Go on, budge up. And they talk about the outside world and how it's all getting really complicated and what it's going to be like when they finish school and the imminent battle that's ahead of them. And James tells Lily that he won't be asking her out anymore. And Lily says, I was planning on saying yes this time. And they do that awkward little laugh thing where they're like, and, you know, like teenage romance where they're like, it's like never really officially said, like, will you be my girlfriend? But I think it's just a wordless thing. So the camera then pans, and then we just see 2 feet, 2 sets of feet walking along the thing, and like little voiceovers of Remus and Sirius, and they're under the invisibility cloak, not very well, as I may add it, but they then hide behind a little bush, which I just thought the 2 feet was such a cute.
I thought it was cute.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to get some Wolf Star content.
Oh,
I thought also it was really cute because in the books of Harry Potter, I think like 7th or 6th book, they did also mention that they were getting too tall for the invisibility cloak, so they had to like crouch down so their feet didn't. So I thought that was a little like, and also because Remus, the actor that plays Remus, is really tall compared to Sirius.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my god. 100%. I just thought it was such a good little comedy moment. And so they're behind a bush and watch James and Lily. Sirius is trying to ruin it with some dung bombs. He's like, technically it's 2 dung bombs.
Oh, so funny.
And is still adamant that it'll never happen until he sees them kiss. And I've just wrote, he's all like, this stupid girl's ruining my best friend. And cut to the evening. Peter is ready for his date. He's like, oh,
Well done.
No one helped him get dressed. And I'm so sad.
He finally got himself there, and I hope he had a lovely night anyway. And Remus and Sirius are in the common room eating Valentine's Day chocolates all alone. And then
there was the Wolf Star moment.
That was
me. That was cute.
It was a little Wolf Star moment. And then Remus turns to Sirius and goes, you know, we've achieved quite a bit of mischief in our time. That was just such a lovely moment.
It was, but I wasn't expecting it to finish there.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
I was hoping we'd see a ball at least. I mean,
Yeah.
I would
something.
Yeah, like a big. They managed to get that castle or whatever it was. They surely could have got more, but.
But I was thinking of like them ending it there. I don't know if I'm reading too much into it, but I was kind of like, oh, because it does end up with only the 2 of them together, like because with like Lily and James, you know, dead, and then Peter gone on another path.
I know we
just ends up with
slightly perfect. Yes.
So that's what I was thinking, that like the movie ending with them 2 was like, oh, it's because in the end it's only the 2 of them left.
Oh my god, that's like,
beautiful.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, that hurt a little bit.
I was like, oh no.
But the film ends, but there's a lovely little scene at the end of the credits, and it's a scene of James and Lily, so these 2 actors recreating the photo of the franchise version of James and Lily dancing in front of the fountain, and I believe it's the same area,
Fountain.
It's the same scene.
I think it is. I mean, I was looking into the actress that played Lily, and she studied at Oxford, so I am 100% guessing that she asked like her head staff and stuff if they could film at Oxford, so they probably used like the same fountain and stuff to get
Oh, yeah, I would.
I mean, I didn't see this scene because I turned it off. That's how I felt about this fan film, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh no.
I thought it was a good film, but I am not one for stories that just depict Lily's existence for James.
Yes.
Yeah.
But again, there's not really much you can do within the space of 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But that is all the notes that I had on the film.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not into romantic anything. And it felt like a teenage rom-com that I didn't want to be watching. I appreciate that it was done really well. I appreciated all of the nods to the films and the books throughout. I appreciated all of the post-editing, fantastically done.
Mm-hmm.
I won't be watching it again. No.
I had my laptop on autoplay because I had my laptop plugged into the TV and I was on the sofa. The one that after that was The Tale of the Three Brothers, and it was like not really a live reenactment, but it was a story of this grandfather telling his grandson this tale of the three brothers, and then they had like little actors acting it out. Yeah, that's cute.
I love that.
Yeah, I didn't watch it all, but from what I did gather,
I don't know if it's on our list.
It's not. I don't think.
Okay.
I think
So
I would have. Yeah, I think I would have. With that movie, I don't think I would have liked it if it was an official thing. But I think it was a fan movie, and it was made by like the fans, and they probably know we're going to be doing this, and it was all like out of their own pockets. I don't know why. I think that's why I liked it a lot, because I just appreciated like they've done so much with nothing.
Oh, they did, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think I would have liked it if it was an official movie, but because it was like a fan thing, I was like, yes, you go, guys. This is great. Even some of the acting was really questionable, but I was like, I don't care. You guys are doing amazing.
We said this earlier. I feel like the actor, for us, the actors that actually made that fan film were the actor who did Peter and the actor that did Remus.
Yeah, I think Lily, she was, I don't know if the actress that played Lily was good, or me just being, oh wow, you're so pretty. I was just looking at her being like, you're so pretty. So I don't even know if she was like a good actor, or me just having like a huge crush and being like, wow, you're so pretty.
She is very pretty.
Very pretty, yes.
Yeah. But Remus is one of my all-time favorite characters. So I thought the actor that played Remus really did him justice.
He really did.
Yeah, he did.
100%.
Fully agree.
So, you didn't read the fan fiction, however...
I didn't get to do that. Sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's totally fine. It's totally fine. You're going to suffer through me talking about it.
Oh, no. It's almost like this is a podcast or something.
Almost. So, this is, I believe it's called Resurgence, but we'll put the link below anyway. So we start at a graveside, October 31st, 1988. So there's a man sitting at the graveside, having a little bit of a sob. My first thought was obviously it's going to be Snape, isn't it? But it wasn't. So he's charmed some lilies onto the grave, and he's about to leave when a surge of magic rushes through the graveyard. So there's bright, blinding lights. The man's nearly knocked over by the overwhelming feel of the magic. And the bodies of the two people in the grave rise from beneath the ground and settle on top of the grave itself.
Hold on, right now.
Sorry? Actually, this is a lot more entertaining than reading a fan fiction. I'm already...
It's the face I was when I was reading it, I promise.
So, when I was finding the fan fiction for this episode, these two fan fictions popped up, and I was like, oh, this one seems quite good. It was like an AU where Hermione gets stuck back in time and James Potter falls in love with Hermione, and Hermione has to do this matchmaking thing, and I was like, oh, this is great. So I started reading it, and then it angered me because they were like, Lily's best friends, Carol, Jazzy, and someone else. And I was like, no, I'm not reading that.
Oh my God.
I was like, I'll choose the other one, the more obscure one. So this is what
it is obscure. It is obscure. So the man approaches the bodies, wand in hand. And he's in shock, obviously. He's got his wand pointed at the female body when the female opens her eyes and gasps. Of course, these people are Lily and James. So they recognise the man at the graveside as Remus, who then asks them to prove that it's them and not someone under polyjuice. So not Snape, fucking hell. So James turns into his animagus form and everything's fine and they have a cuddle.
Aww.
Until they realise that it's 7 years since they died and Harry's now missing.
Yeah. Yes.
So now alive again.
Wait, so they're alive? Wait, hold on. I thought this was like a hallucination. They were like holograms, maybe ghosts.
No,
Not for a zombie movie. Jesus.
No, full on like risen from the dead.
Living people again, but we don't find out why until later on.
Okay.
Now that they're alive again, they work on having Sirius freed from Azkaban. We get a flashback of Sirius being told he's been exonerated and being given his clothes and his wand back. And when he saw Lily and James, he then assumed that he was dead and that he was in the afterlife, seeing Lily and James in the afterlife. Obviously, again, James morphs into his Animagus form to prove that he's not in the afterlife.
I was like, I love how he had to do that to prove that he wasn't in the afterlife. Could he not just pinch him and be like, you're not dead?
Smack him on the head.
Yeah.
So Lily's furious that Harry was left with Petunia because she's like, she was on deeds to say that she wouldn't be getting him. That is the only way that she was on any of those deeds. And then we meet an OC. Who appears through the fireplace at Potter Manor.
Sorry, in Godric's Hollow.
Yeah, Potter Manor.
Oh. Potter Manor. Oh wow.
Oh yeah. It just gets more like
I'm so excited.
So a woman steps through the flue and announces herself as Amara Emerson, who is the former president of the MAC USA, who tells them that they may have information as to the whereabouts of Harry. Because at this point we discover that Petunia no longer has Harry.
Wait, okay. I mean, sure. I was like, why can't they just ask Dumbledore? Like,
oh, that's all coming. So, Amara shows Lily a photograph, and she's like, "Can you identify the people in this photograph?" And Lily's like, "Why?" And she's like, "Because I'm asking you, can you identify them?" And she's like, "But why?" And she's like, "Just identify them." And then she points them all out as members of her family. And then Amara then explains that Lily's cousin, Rihanna, who was originally believed dead, could actually be the one that has Harry. And she's currently living in the States. I mean, you write about what you know, don't you? So I'm assuming the writer of this fan fiction lived in the States.
I was going to say, it's American, yeah. I feel like this is maybe they see it's like, kind of self-insert as well. You always wait for the self-inserts in fan fiction. You're like, where is the author? Ah, there they are.
So Amara then goes into detail about the fact that the ministry, the British ministry, is under investigation. Ministry workers are being reassigned, and other wizarding communities are taking over areas of the British ministry to ensure that nothing like Voldemort ever happens again, because the British wizarding ministry was not able to change their laws enough to ensure that things like this don't happen again. They weren't taking it seriously enough.
That's fair, to be honest. I mean, that's the only thing in this fanfiction right now that makes sense. The politics of it all.
Well, I have a quote. She said, "Laws that needed to be changed haven't. Discrimination has only gotten worse. Mr. Black's illegal incarceration was the last straw, and the ICW, excluding any members of the country of concern, decided that if left alone, Britain was leaving itself open to another Dark Lord to take power that couldn't be allowed to happen."
I like that.
So 3 days later, the four receive visas and information about the town that they would be starting their search, and a portkey that would take them to a forest on the outskirts of the town.
Lovely.
Because nothing can be easy.
No.
Never.
So they arrive. Lily has transformed their clothing into Muggle attire, like hiking attire, because she said that none of them understood Muggle clothing, so she had to do it for them.
Okay.
And I have another quote. "The friends started making their way towards Saga's Cove, named for the Norse goddess of wisdom who was said to pour Odin a drink when he visited. the only magical inn and pub in this entire town, or so their information said. So I did a bit of research.
So wait, so they put on muggle clothes to get to a wizarding pub
In a muggle town.
in a muggle town.
Yes.
Yes.
Following.
This,
So I did
yeah.
research, and interestingly, I discovered that this information is correct to Norse mythology, and that Saga, I'm assuming I'm pronouncing it probably incorrectly,
No, that's Saga. Yeah.
is closely associated with the goddess Frigg.
Mm.
Apparently. I don't do Norse mythology. I understand Celtic mythology, but I've not really delved into Norse. So I did a bit of research.
As an Icelander here, you're doing really well.
Well, I haven't written down any of the really bizarre town names or anything because there was absolutely no way I would have been able to pronounce them.
So
So
you're doing amazing, sweetie.
You're doing amazing, sweetie. It's good. It's great.
so they go into the pub when they find it. They walk past it 4 times because it's spelled to be unnoticeable. But they find it eventually. And right, so they sit down, they have some butterbeers, and they eavesdrop a conversation at the bar about Rihanna not responding to any communication. How helpful is that? That the first place they go, they hear the person that they're looking for. The last time any of the bar staff had seen Rihanna was Halloween with her nephew. When one of them moves to leave, Sirius stops him and says, I was eavesdropping. I overheard something. And the guy turns around and he's like, you mean eavesdropping, Sirius? It turns out it's Regulus and he's alive.
Oh.
The chapter ends and it was like, it's me. And it's like, Regulus Black is alive. And then, like,
Yeah.
that's what the chapter
Wait, so did he have a British accent?
Yes.
Yes.
So they could have been like, oh, another Brit.
Yeah. Yeah.
They made a point, the landlady of the pub made a point of saying, oh, so you're Brits. Like, because they keep talking about the British accent all the way through this. So it's definitely
Yes.
American who really loves the British accent, I think.
Yeah. I'm just thinking that if they had someone, talking about Rihanna in a British accent, they'd be like,
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like,
one of us.
Yes. But
Unless Regulus is putting on an American accent to like blend in, but
I mean, they're all, the 4 of them are wearing glamours, so no one can tell who they are. But obviously, Regulus knew immediately.
Yeah. Because at this point, all their faces have been in the papers. They're like, oh my God, they're alive.
Oh my God, he's out of
Yeah.
prison. Like, yeah, it's a lot. So then Regulus explains that Rihanna lives on a remote island just outside of this town.
Mm-hmm.
So he takes them on a rune-enchanted boat, and there's an emotional reunion conversation between Rihanna and Lily when they arrive. And Lily's like, where's Harry? And she's like, oh, he's out on the pitch. So Rihanna's got her own Quidditch pitch on her own island in her own manner.
It's like a full-blown castle, I imagined it to be. Because they were like, I've never seen a house this big before.
They
So
described it as being like Hogwarts, but smaller.
yeah. Which
you
is
know
like,
what? I stand that. I stand a rich aunt who's taking care of her nephew from her deceased sister in a remote island. That just sounds like a period drama waiting to happen.
It really does.
they just screamed like gay, cool auntie.
Yes.
Who just rocked up at the party with like vodka and
Yeah.
was like, I'm ready. The disappointment.
So they go out to the Quidditch pitch to find Harry. And I've got some more quotes here. So Rihanna says, Harry, do you remember why you live with me? And Harry, bearing in mind he's 7 years old, says, because Aunt Petunia is a horse-faced. And then Rihanna interrupts and says, okay, enough of that. start watching what I say around you, don't I? So then Harry meets his parents and he knows them immediately from photographs and dreams. And there's a brief moment where Rihanna says once Harry got better, when they were talking about how Harry was travelling with her while she was curse breaking and enchanting.
Because that's her job.
Yeah, that's her job. She's a curse breaker. Freelance.
Love to see it.
It's like a Sherlock thing, isn't it? Where it's like, I'm a consulting detective.
And you're like, great.
So he did go travelling with her while she was curse breaking, but they had to wait until he got better. And that's the last thing we hear about that until right near the end. So there's like a moment where you're supposed to remember that he had to get better from something, but nothing is mentioned. So they have dinner and Rihanna receives a severe headache and goes to bed. Lily asks Harry what's wrong with her and he says that he's not allowed to tell anyone. But then there's a scream from the hallway and they all run. And she's bleeding from her nose and her mouth and her ears and she's on the floor.
This took a sharp turn.
Yeah.
I was waiting for her to like, oh, I have a headache and walk off. But it's like in movies, like, I have a headache, I have to lie down. What happened to her? I can't say anything. And then she's dead. It feels like one of those like ghost movies.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Well, she's not dead.
No, she didn't die, so that surprised me.
No, she's not dead. So Regulus tells Harry to lead the other three to her room with her, whilst he retrieves Ira, who I'm assuming, because we've not actually heard anything about Ira, but I'm assuming it is the landlady from the pub, from the description.
Oh, okay. I didn't take that much notice.
Yes. She seems to do some sort of healing charm, but sends Lily to Rihanna's lab to make some blood replenisher potions. And the lab is like a beautiful big glass atrium, I think, that's got like its own herb area and like its own curtained potion store.
That's a very rich person thing to have.
I was gonna say, like, how much do you get for being a curse breaker and where can I get in?
Well, we discovered that actually she's a grand master in several subjects, which is unusual. But we'll get on to that.
Okay.
So Regulus speaks to... Regulus goes into the lab with Lily, and he walks over to an area where there's a big mirror. And this big mirror's got runes all the way around the outside. And he presses a couple of runes, and like this thing happens in the mirror. And it made me think of Stargate. Like that. And he speaks to a gentleman who is very short and clippish with him, with a mild French accent. And he's called Cassius Beauregard.
It's a very...
Yes.
It's a very...
Beauregard. Where's that? That has been...
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Beauregard.
Yes!
So he speaks to Cassius through the mirror, and then reveals to Lily that Rihanna has created doorways like this, which are essentially a new type of travel device that is undetectable and made international travel easier.
Of course.
Of course, yeah.
I've got a quote, and this is my favourite quote from the entire fic.
Oh, God.
And it truly was. The currently accepted ways of travel had been around for a long time and no one had been inclined to find new ways. Except for those damn Death Eaters. Damn them and their smoky, shadowy travel, Lily thought bitterly.
Smoky, shadowy travel.
It just tickled me.
Oh, the Shakespeare in this is prominent.
Shakespeare's been quiet since this has been written.
Yeah.
When they return to Rihanna's room, Lily thinks Ira is hurting Rihanna because she's doing some sort of thing with her hands and like there's magic moving around. There's a storm happening outside all of a sudden.
Wait, is she doing wandless magic?
Yes.
Ooh, okay.
Very powerful.
Yes. So Cassius then explains what she's doing. It says, Rihanna's done something that's made her magic amplify too much for her body, and Ira is redirecting it or channeling it out of Rihanna's body, which is what I'm assuming the storm that suddenly happened outside is.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's always an explanation when something's going on, isn't there? They're like, oh, there's a storm brewing.
There's a storm brewing, so a weird exorcism of some kind.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. So Ira finishes what she's doing and she looks exhausted, obviously. So Cassius goes to her and he's like, I don't know why you didn't wait for me. And she's like, I didn't have enough time to wait for your assistance. She might have died. So the storm massively descends, and Lily is led to Harry's room, and she and James have a brief conversation about Harry waited until he was better before travelling with Rihanna. Still not sure what this means. So it turns out that Cassius is a potions grandmaster, and he explains why Rihanna was sick. She tried to pull the dark magic from Harry's scar. He continues. She used the ley line. Is she crazy? Sirius interrupted, wide-eyed. Remus, James and Regulus's expressions were much the same as Sirius, but Lily looked a little confused. James then explains to Lily, we all have magic inside of us, James started, but he seemed to be just as shaken as the others. Our cores are set to a certain amount and we can grow our cores with practice, but even then there are limits. However, if someone pulls from a ley line, there is no way to stop the flow of magic, and it usually ends up killing the person who used them. The only ones that can pull from them are lay families, but they're extinct. So then we discover that Rihanna is part of a lay family that isn't extinct.
Just so happens.
So the magic from the ley lines is compatible with her core, but not her body.
Hilda seems very confused.
Yeah.
The amount of, like, okay, so she tried to pull it out of Harry because he would die. Is that what she's saying?
Possibly. I don't think we hear why she tried to pull it out of Harry, other than maybe it was vile. I think they said several times it was vile dark magic that I guess she just
maybe they could like sense. Maybe she could like sense Voldemort, you know, because Harry is technically a Horcrux. But like,
I think so, because they do mention that he was a Horcrux.
Yeah, that later on. Yeah,
and that's why they get rid of it.
So then they discover why Harry was healing before he travelled with Rihanna. And I mean, this was obvious. Yeah. Quote, malnutrition, dehydration, vitamin deficiency, burns, bruises, fractures, not to mention his mental state. What do you mean his mental state? Regulus asked, concerned. The mind healer in him coming to the front. Oh yes, Regulus is a mind healer.
Yeah.
So therapist.
Yeah. He barely knew what his name was, how to read, how to write, and he was terrified of people. What do you mean he didn't know his name? James asked, horrified. From what we gathered, the Dursleys never really called him by his proper name. It was either Freak or Boy, rarely Harry. So I was waiting for that one.
Yeah.
It turned out that as long as Rihanna didn't pursue legal action for the treatment of Harry against the Dursleys were happy to sign Harry over to her. When she realised the extent of Harry's abuse, she put a long-acting curse on the neighbourhood. It was like a karma curse, essentially. Mm-hmm. So anyone that had ignored it or hadn't seen what had happened would start getting bits of karma back to them, but no one would actually be harmed.
We're like that. We're like a bit of pettiness thrown in there.
Yeah, we love a bit of pettiness.
My next moment is James calls Harry Prongslet, and I live for that.
Prongslet?
Prongslet.
Sounds like a fucking Pringle.
I think Pringle would have been better than Prongslet.
Yeah, or like Prongslet sounds like, I don't know why, it sounds like a prawn-flavoured crisp.
It does,
oh my god,
yes. We then discover that Regulus is married and expecting a baby. So there's an emotional moment between James and Sirius talking briefly about Azkaban, but obviously Sirius doesn't want to open up because he's like, I'm a dude. Like, I don't do that. I don't talk. Everyone goes to bed. Sirius has a nightmare, and it turns out that he has nightmares quite often. And I mean, it's no surprise there, really. So he has a wander, and he ends up in Rihanna's room with Cassius. Cassius has been awake for days, but that's okay because he's not fully human, but we'll get on to that as well. And Cassius ends up going to bed because Sirius is like, I can take over, you're all right. You just go to bed. So he talks to Rihanna's sleeping body because he's not talked to anyone yet, and he thinks, why not? I can talk to someone who's unconscious.
Sure.
Yeah. But then he notices she's shivering. And when he notices that she's shivering, he decides that he's going to morph into Padfoot and curl up around her to keep her warm.
He has known this woman for how long?
3 days, and 2 of them she's been unconscious.
So probably like a few hours then.
Yeah. So when the Potters find them in the morning, in her sleeping state, Rihanna has removed the negative effects of the Dementors on Sirius's mind. She's also managed to reverse any of the aging that he's gone through whilst in Azkaban, any pain that he still deals with from Azkaban. And Cassius informs them that he will sleep for a few days after that. But she's done all of this subconsciously.
Because she's so powerful with all these ley lines.
Yeah.
So powerful.
Sorry,
yeah.
I'm really trying to keep an open mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's something.
It's just because I'll go on that later. What's like bothering me the most about this? But yeah, go on.
So it turns out that Rihanna, in order to remove the Horcrux, and I quote, undid what was done. So in order to create the Horcrux, Voldemort needed to kill in cold blood, i.e. the Potters. And to undo that, by using the magic of the ley line, she brought them back from the dead.
So that's how they survived. That's how they came back to life.
So she undid everything that Voldemort did.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were talking, like, she's awake again now. And Lily's like, I don't understand why Dumbledore didn't know that you had Harry, etc. And she believes that Harry was put with the Dursleys because of a blood ward. Rihanna explained that there was no such thing at the Dursleys. And I quote, there was no love for Harry in that house. The only way I know a blood ward can be enacted accidentally is with fierce love and willing sacrifice. And the only way to keep them sustained is with the same emotion that enacted it. So we discovered that there wasn't a blood ward on the Dursleys' house at all.
Huh.
Then we have epilogue number 1.
Sorry? I'm sorry? What? Oh god! Oh my lord! I am okay. I'm just gonna. Okay, give it.
I hope you're ready for that.
Oh, I'm so ready.
You're not ready.
Oh my
3
lord!
years later, Wizarding Britain. Harry's about to start Hogwarts. The Potters now have a daughter called Holly. And Sirius stayed with Rihanna to guard her in her curse-breaking travels. Obviously, he ends up proposing and knocking her up. She ends up pregnant.
Of course.
So the Potters set up a fund to supply those people in need with Wolfsbane potion at little to no cost. And this is the first time we hear of anyone except the Marauders in this fic. Anyone canon, at least. Snape was to be tried for his crimes. Malfoy wasn't.
What?
Yeah, right?
That was my reaction.
So they had a list of people who they were going to try, and Malfoy was not on that list. And I was like...
Because, and I quote, Malfoy never actually killed anyone. He had the mark, but it was because his dad told him he had to.
Oh. Oh, okay. So because your dad told you after you don't get to, so no consequences for you.
Daddy saves the day.
Yes, but Snape was to be tried for his crimes.
Even though he was a double agent.
Even though he was a double agent. So Snape, instead of going to Azkaban, was sent to work with a Grandmaster in potions somewhere in Africa, rather than Azkaban. And this Grandmaster in potions happened to be Regulus's father-in-law, who had taught Cassius Beauregard. So Regulus had managed to convince the judges to let Snape off with not going to Azkaban.
It's a lot.
Sure. Potters are friends with the Weasleys.
Mm-hmm.
Ron and Harry and the twins grow up together.
Oh.
And Alice and Frank are recovered.
You know what? Of all the things, that's the only thing that I... Wait, sorry. No, that doesn't... Wait, because he said everything Voldemort did.
I know, in regards to the Horcrux.
Yeah. But Bellatrix was the one that did it on Neville's parents. That doesn't make sense. Well, a lot of this does make sense, but like, if we're gonna keep it canon, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, I said this to Baron. I was like, of all the things, that was the one there that were like, oh yeah, we'll just take these people who are completely insane and just bring them back. It's fine.
Yeah,
like it was nothing.
And then it gets to Harry's first day at Hogwarts. And they find Hermione at the train station and they help her understand how to get to the platform. Epilogue 2.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, of course.
Harry's 5th year. So
yeah.
So,
oh God, what's going on?
They're all sitting around discussing the fact that they now do a student exchange, a year abroad, with the other wizarding schools.
Sure.
And they're all discussing which schools that they're going to go to. So Neville is going to
Uganda.
the one in Uganda because they've got like a really good herbology area. The Golden Tree, the Golden Tree are all going to Ilvermorny.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Draco's a Ravenclaw.
Yeah.
What? Wait.
And is friends with Potter.
Yeah.
I like to see that they'd be friends, but you didn't need to do that though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he also wants to go to Uganda, I think, or Japan.
Oh, was it Apple Buttons?
No, because he needed some sunblock. There was a whole thing about having some sunscreen.
Yes.
And Harry was going to ask Lily about some sunscreen because Draco didn't know what it was. Narcissa managed to reinstate Andromeda into the Black family. Lucius isn't particularly liked anymore, but it doesn't matter because Narcissa is, and she's the strong, powerful woman, and everyone listens to Narcissa and no one listens to Lucius anymore, and everyone lived happily ever after.
Yay!
That's nice. That's nice. I mean, you know, sure. What if Andromeda didn't want to be a part of the family again, though?
Yeah.
Have you thought about that?
I mean, yeah. This is a thing. There was less crying in this fan fiction than there was in the last one that we read for Life After Fred.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that I liked it anymore.
Yeah. Life After Fred, there was not a dry cheek in any chapter. So
and I think so. I appreciated that they went with what they know and they did some extra research into ley lines, into Norse mythology. Great, fantastic.
But that didn't matter. The North like unless you're Dickens and you're writing because every single word means extra money,
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't, if it has nothing to do with the story, cut it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was expecting something a bit more with the
Yeah.
Norse stuff.
Yeah.
Just one mention of it and gone. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was getting quite excited when they were talking about runes and the ley lines and stuff, and then I thought that, like, we're gonna get some like really intricate witchcraft, paganism details, and it just never did to anything.
I got excited when they mentioned the ley lines, and I was like, oh yes, get in. And then no, it didn't happen.
No. So they obviously did some research to write this. It's just pointless research, really.
Well, they should have, done the research on. Oh, I feel really bad saying this. God, I'm such
Do
a
it.
sneaky bitch. But like, they should have then done, research on the actual Harry Potter franchise, because, like, what is going on? Okay, what really annoyed me listening to this was, like, changing what happened canonically in the story.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't, like.
Yeah.
Like with Remus, like, I mean, even though they died, they would, like, the lives of what happened around would still happen.
Yeah.
But there were so many things that suddenly changed, which in my head would only be changed if something else in the past was changed, Back to the Future style. But, like, nothing was changed. So their lives should have been the same.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And Sirius would not attach himself to someone like that in such a short amount of time, and like and like it's gonna be fun, and they're like, no, this is creepy. And how old is she? Like, if she's this ancient, like
he's a little bit older than Lily, but not by much. But they don't say.
Doesn't it not? Does the story in itself not turn out to be that like Lily's actually half blood or something?
Yeah, she's not Muggle born. She's half blood.
Because like what parents were like a squib or something of the sort.
No, like that's make that clear from the get-go that this is a parallel universe if this happened, instead of being like, I'm just going to change the entire thing and everything that is kind of canon. Like, I do like extra nifty-bitty stuff, but then you have to, like, I don't know, prove it or like have layers to make it work.
Yeah.
You can't just throw shit together, mix it up, and call it a cocktail. Like, that's not how it works. You can say it's a cocktail, but no one's gonna fucking drink it. Like,
yeah. The only thing that I do appreciate about it is that this writer just went, "Fuck you, J.K. Rowling."
Sure, yeah.
But then this writer's epilogue definitely rivals JK's, let's be fair.
Oh, yeah.
What I'm also reading, like, is Draco's Ravenclaw, which kind of is that, we hate on all Slytherins kind of situation. Like, if you're a Slytherin, you're a bad person.
Yeah.
Like, Draco could have been Slytherin and just a nicer human being. That you can have both.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I tend to think that we're both lovely human beings and we're Slytherin.
Oh my god, all of my friends are Slytherins. I'm the only Gryffindor in my friend group. Like, my boyfriend's a Slytherin, both of my best friends are Slytherins. Like, I have this Discord chat of only Slytherins and Hufflepuffs, and I'm like, oh my god. I get more annoyed about Gryffindors in my life than anything else. But my lord, I know that I was too busy because life to read this fan fiction, but to be honest, I'm really glad I didn't, because this experience was so much more fun and worth it.
Just watching your face, like,
it's literally what my face was doing all the way through.
What?
I was sitting finishing it in the living room, and I kept looking at my wife like, what is this? And she's like, you're not making as much noise as you did for the last one. I was like, yes, but this is just ridiculous.
It's on a whole other level.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Did enjoy it though.
I enjoyed the original characters. I thought they were nice. But we got some nice descriptions of them, and I just wish they hadn't created a whole new family that Lily didn't have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like her whole thing is that she's a muggle born, that she's so talented and powerful and beautiful in her own way. And it doesn't matter that she had any magical family, because she was better than anyone else, because she was good at what she was doing. You don't need the the bullshit. You don't need the Mary Sue characters. You don't need to make them more powerful and perfect and everything. That's like the Mary Sue self-insert that I just...
Yes, yeah. It's My Immortal, but better written.
Yeah. Yes.
Don't even get me started on My Immortal. That's the story you take to like a nerdy party and everyone's super drunk and like, guys, let's read My Immortal.
Well, interestingly, every Tuesday night I go live on Instagram and I read fan fictions, and we have been reading a couple of chapters a week of My Immortal for...
Oh my god.
We're still waiting on that rumoured good chapter.
I hate it so hard. It makes me so angry.
It's so funny.
But this fan fiction, just like the bit that the epilogue annoyed me more than anything else.
Yeah.
Because you didn't mention Snape or Malfoy at all in the fan fiction. Why did you need to mention him in the epilogue?
Yeah.
Why was it necessary? It wasn't.
And then it was like collectively they were like, the Wizarding World's fine, guys, now it's fine.
They all lived happily ever after.
Yeah.
But who wants a happily ever after? Really? In a fan fiction? I don't.
Right.
I want my angst.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially if it's a happily ever after in fan fiction, you have to earn it.
Oh,
You
yeah.
have to earn the happily ever after, but it has to be a bittersweet happily ever after, you know? Like,
Yeah, you need to go through
now.
plots. We need like 700,000 words to get to that happily ever after.
Yes.
Slow burn, you know?
Yes, absolutely.
But we have some fan theories as well. I only could find two that we haven't spoken about already. One of them is a bit ridiculous. However,
I mean,
we're like we've just read that fan fiction, so I think anything can make sense at this point.
My mind is so open right now.
Well, the first one that I have is relatively tame. It's Cruikshanks used to belong to Lily. So when Hermione buys the cat, the shop owner says that they've had the cat for quite some time. And when Cruikshanks recognises Peter and Sirius in their animagus forms, it's a strong clue. Because you see that Cruikshanks always chases after Peter, doesn't he?
yes, but cats chase. So
Yeah.
That's
When
true.
you say a while, that cat could have been there for 3 years.
Yeah.
13?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, but that's what Google told me, so I was going to write that down.
Yeah.
This one is the ridiculous one.
Okay.
Remus Lupin is actually James Potter in disguise.
What?
I'm just going to sit here and mourn my own death.
Yeah.
Um,
So, like everyone else, Lupin never stared at Harry's scar, mentioned the resemblance to his parents.
That's because he's got his own scars. You don't
Exactly,
stare
yeah.
at scars.
yeah.
Harry by name as if he was already familiar with it. So yeah, I'm thinking this is ridiculous as well.
Yeah.
As if he was already familiar with him. He would have met him as a baby.
And he looks like his dead best friend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally,
Jesus.
right? Like, I certainly don't want Harry dead. An odd shiver passed over his face is a passage from the book.
Of course.
Exactly, right? And I'm just like...
One is a kid, and he's the last thing he has to James and Lily.
Yeah, exactly. Trelawney said that Lupin positively fled because he didn't want anyone to find out that he was a werewolf. But
Yeah.
it was revealed later that all the staff knew. He was afraid of something else being exposed.
Yeah, I know. I think it's, the being a werewolf and the parents finding out, being like, how
Yeah.
dare you have a werewolf teach our kids, you know?
Absolutely.
This does not make any sense.
Lucius going into that like a board of governors like, bitch, no.
He's walking in with his like just flicking his hair back, and he's like, "I've got some tea."
I mean, he was ready. He got Buckbeak almost killed. So
Yeah.
what would he do with freaking Remus Lupin?
I don't know. And then
I'd like to. Never mind.
All right.
Ooh.
Maybe Remus one of those, Malfoy parties.
I mean, yeah.
We did. I mentioned Remus in
yeah.
the first one, but we didn't get any Remus duets from it.
No.
But, that's fine.
Oh.
We're gonna do another one anyway. It's gonna be great. So the last point is this is all bullshit. Upon hearing that Harry hears his mother scream whenever a Dementor is near, Lupin made a sudden motion with his arm as though to grip Harry's shoulder, but then thought better of it. I don't know how all of this adds up to Remus being James, but...
Yeah, I'm still trying to look for the evidence here, because this just seems like a very caring man that really likes Harry because it's his best friend's son.
Yeah, he wanted to touch Harry's shoulder, but also he's his teacher, so that's kind of out of the question.
Yeah. But also, like, that's kind of on par with the fan theory that I read, where McGonagall was a Death Eater.
Oh, yeah.
That was a wild one. I did enjoy that one.
Yeah.
But that's all I have. I don't know if you have any fan theories about the Marauders.
My favorite, I mean, this is like a headcanon that I really like. That is like a very known headcanon that Marlene and James were cousins.
Oh,
I like that.
I've read that one, but
That's
actually...
No, that's one of my favorite like headcanons that they're cousins because they're both. I don't know if this is canon or not, because again, fan theories and canon sometimes get really mixed up together. But that she also lived in Godric's Hollow, and technically all wizards are kind of related, so it would make sense that they would be cousins.
That
I've
is
read
true.
that somewhere, but I also really like the thought they kind of have like the same energy, that they would be badass cousins.
Oh yeah, I can see that. There was one down somewhere that Harry was actually blood related to Sirius, but it would have been way mixed up in the pure blood line, because we all know that they all inbred.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, all Targaryens, a lot of them.
Yeah, but I think that's all I have.
Yeah, I didn't have any fan theories because I couldn't find anything that we haven't already discussed.
Yeah, we did Marauders earlier on with Snape, and I think a lot of the theories came with that. But
yeah.
No, I really enjoyed it, and I've always like for example with the movie, it's really nice to see. I don't know why it's so funny to me, but all of us that do cosplay and do Lily, we kind of do have the same vibe, and it's so funny because there isn't really a canonic vibe with Lily, because she's always been described by other people. Like her main thing that is, her love, that she had so much love, and that she hated James. Her and Snape were best friends. She, was super kind. Everyone loved her, super talented witch. So that's that. We have like maybe like 6 facts about her personality, and that's it. And I really like that most of us have kind of gotten a sense of how she is.
Yeah.
It's always kind of on par. You don't really see something completely different.
I do enjoy seeing everyone's interpretation of the same character, whether it be Lily, Narcissa, even Marlene. Like, I've seen a few Marlenes pop up now.
Oh, I love the different Marlenes.
Yes.
Because again, I tried to do some research on Marlene and be like, literally the only thing we know of Marlene is what Sirius says when he shows Harry the picture, being like, that's Marlene McKinnon. Her and her family died 2 weeks after this photo was taken.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's all we know of Marlene McKinnon. The rest is fan fiction.
I say I live for that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah.
I fully ship my Narcissa with Marlene, and it's like so much. But yeah.
I love that so much. Like, and I love that some people are like, oh yeah, Marlene and Sirius, and some people are like, no, Marlene and Dorcas. Again, we don't know anything about Dorcas or really about Hestia Jones either. And I really love that because I RP'd a lot of Marauders before, like on Tumblr. I did Hestia Jones for a while, and it was just so much fun to see like you have so much freedom because there is nothing canon really, so you can do whatever the fuck you want. And if people say something different, you're like, oh, but there is nothing in the book about this, so
yeah.
But this
I
is
can do what I
also
want.
yeah, this is also why we enjoy doing the Malfoys, because
Yeah.
isn't actually a huge amount about them as characters, really.
No.
There's them being in scenes, but there's never anything what's going on behind the scenes and like what their family life is like.
You know nothing about their family life or their love life. And that's why we enjoy it, because we can play with it, we can run with it, and like we have our own ideas about what the Malfoys were into.
We love it though, but the thing is, when you do it, is you're like, yeah, makes sense, you know? It's not far off. Like, one, they're adults as well, and especially like pureblood adults that are in the elite kind there. Of course, there were swingers and had parties and stuff.
This is exactly how our conversation went. Exactly how it went.
We were like, yeah. And like, and we were just like, of course there would be polyamorous, and like Snape would be in on it at some point, and but yeah,
I know that's so like some people would think it far off, but I'm like, yeah, that's obviously like of course if you're a kid you don't really get it, but when you're an adult you're like
we now as adults see Harry Potter through adult eyes. So you definitely see things that you don't see as a child.
That's why I'm kind of scared of reading the books again, because it's been such a long time since I've read the books or listened to them, because I've heard and listened to them like, this is my little flex in 3 different languages. That's the only flex that I have, so I'll keep that. But like I'm scared of like reading it again, because I don't want to, because now I have my own Harry Potter world in my head. I don't want to ruin that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes I get confused as to what we've made up and what is actually canon. Like, sometimes I'm like, oh, Narcissa would never do that, and then I'm like, wait, my Narcissa would never do that. But it's like the whole taking Draco to Pride thing. I love
Oh, that was so sweet.
I love that little thing that we had going on, and then and then I was just like, realistically, I think we think it would happen, because like
I mean, if he's sleeping with men, at least he's not sleeping with half-bloods.
There's no pure way.
We said we don't think they would care as long as you ended up with a pure blood, because they were more about blood elitist than they were about sexuality.
True. As you can see, so like the sun is just like slowly creeping through the windows. I'm just like leaning away.
Oh no, that's all right. But I think we're done.
I think we're done.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for saying yes.
Yeah, it's been lovely.
Oh my god, always for you guys.
Oh. Yeah, we've had a lot of fun, and we're really looking forward to this episode, because we know you're going to bring some good little insights.
I hope I did, instead of, you know, some weird faces, some like, oh, this is sweet, and all of the good stuff, you know.
And you are funny, so that helps.
Oh, that's good.
But thank you for joining, guys. I forgot what we're going to be talking about next time, but that will be in the description below.
Yes. Again, if you have any fan fiction recommendations, please feel free to send them my way, like someone did last night, actually. Haven't gotten around to reading that one, but I'm sure it's probably Drarry.
Probably. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because it really helps a lot. And we will see you guys in 2 weeks' time.
Woo!
Bye!